Welcome back to Deep Six Wrestling. I am your host, Just Pat, and this is 5 Matches to Watch, the weekly show where I give you my personal recommendations of 5 matches that happened this past week in all of the world of wrestling. The only rule for this show is 1 match per show, so not an entire New Japan card, not an entire NXT card. You get the gist. If you're new to the channel here at Deep Six Wrestling, be sure to like this video, leave a comment down in the comment section, and subscribe to Deep Six Wrestling for all your wrestling needs. With that being said, let's get into the video. Coming in number 5 this week, we have Walter versus Travis Banks from NXT UK. And this is probably only the, I want to say, 3rd or 4th full Walter single match I've seen since he signed with NXT, or NXT UK. And honestly, he just really impresses the more and more I see of him. I still think his best match so far since making the jump over to NXT UK is against Pete Dunne, which albeit was at a regular NXT takeover. But still, the point remains that Walter's an incredibly impressive wrestler. And that's just, again, it's shown here in this match with Travis Banks. And Travis Banks, for what it's worth, is also incredibly talented. He comes off with a great amount of intensity. Even for like just, you know, a baby face, he definitely could be a really strong heel in the future. He has that level of intensity that someone like Oni Lorcan has, where the animosity and his facial expressions and his strikes, my god, his strikes are great, from both guys. Walter, whew, I would not want to get hit by him. But you know, this was a really solid match. When I was watching the show, I was really hoping that Killer Kelly and Xia Brookside were gonna have something I could talk about, but it ended up just being a match for the Xia Brookside, Jazzy Gabert, and Ginny feud. And yeah, Xia Brookside is good from what I've seen. I haven't seen much of her. I think the best match I've seen of hers was against Rhea Ripley in the Mae Young Classic last year. While Killer Kelly is somebody who just, anytime I see her, she's just absolutely impressive. She left a great impression on me in her first round match from the Mae Young Classic last year with Mako Satomura. I'm pretty sure that was her name. Don't remember if the last name was right, but Mako, yes, from Mae Young Classic last year was absolutely just phenomenal. But yeah, I was hoping for more from that match, but this was the match that caught my eye the most from NXT UK this week. Again, I really just think Walter, he's really the only person who deserves the title in over there right now. You know, Dunn's run with the title was fantastic, and it's pretty crazy to think that there's only been 3 NXT or WWE UK champions. But I mean, the lineage of that belt's like pretty prestigious. You have Tyler Bate having a great initial run, then you have Dunn's just reign of terror over there, which was phenomenal. And now you got Walter, and I could see Walter having another really long reign with this belt, because I really can't think of who beats him. And that's kind of an interesting thing with NXT UK right now. I'm not like the most avid watcher of it, but just thinking about who is the one to take it off of Walter, I really thought it was going to be eventually down the line Travis Banks, but I'm kind of leaning towards no. I guess Dunn could get it back. Maybe Jordan Devlin, maybe Trent Seven or Tyler Bate. Who knows, really? It's kind of up in the air at the moment, but it's definitely an interesting thing to keep an eye on. And honestly, if you're watching this video, you know, just drop it in the comment section. If you watch 205, or not 205.5, NXT UK, who you think's gonna take the title off of Walter? Because I'd love to hear what you guys think. Definitely an interesting situation over there that's brewing in NXT UK. So yeah, that's the first match we're gonna talk about this week. We have Ryusuke Taguchi versus El Phantasmo for the RPW British Cruiserweight Championship from Kizuna Road Night 3, or whatever night of the tour it was. It was Night 3 of the broadcast shows from New Japan World. And again, as I've stated in every video so far that Phantasmo's been in for this channel, this guy is just, he's blowing me away. Since his showing in the Best of the Super Juniors, I'm just like, this guy is just, he's something special. He's still pretty early in his career from what I know, or at least from his New Japan career. And every time he's on screen, he's just really captivating, and he's just a fantastic heel. He knows how to get heat. He knows how to wrestle great as a heel. And this match really kind of just like sold me on his versatility as a wrestler. He's been funny before, but this was just a straight up comedy match. And it's kind of interesting to see that in like the semi-main event of the show. But nonetheless, yeah, these two, when you hear Taguchi, you kind of know what you're getting in for, but Taguchi is a really, really good wrestler, to be honest, but he is an absolutely great comedy wrestler. And I think that's when you look at New Japan, you have him and you have Toru Yano, and those are two really strong comedy wrestlers. And they both know how to get the best reactions out of people, and that was on show here. And I think him and Phantasmo, it was a slow build, but as the match kept going, they kept doing more and more, and it was a pretty solid match, to be honest. You know, I really don't have anything bad to say here. They both came off looking really, really good. Taguchi, again, I think he's kind of getting up there in age. He still looks really good, but Phantasmo's the new young guy in the junior division, and I think they're doing great work with him right now. I can't hate anything. He's got the funny I don't even know what the name is, but it's like he does like the old school thing where it's like grabs one arm, walks on the ropes, but he goes all the way around to each corner and he just kicks you in the face, and it's great. Again, it's a nice spot. It gets heat, it gets laughs. It's nice. It's refreshing. It's something different. Taguchi even went for it in the match, but Phantasmo caught him and was like, "That's my spot," and then nutted him on the ropes. Yeah, I don't know. It was a nice breath of fresh air, I guess. I haven't really seen a really strong straight up comedy match in a while, and I'm looking forward to Toru Yano in the G1 because his matches always like provide that. So I just think back to him versus Omega in the G1. I think it was 2 years ago where they had it was so good. Like that was the match that really just sold me on Toru Yano. And yeah, I really can't hate that. And this match, again, I think it was really good for again a semi-main event with just a straight up comedy match. Again, really like Phantasmo. And then if we're just gonna talk about comedy wrestling, I think it can be really, really good if there's good execution, it can be great. And I think probably like some of the best comedy wrestlers in the world right now. Not Taguchi, he's good, but there's better. I'd say Yano's better. I'd say Orange Cassidy is better, though. It feels like he's kind of getting oversaturation at the moment, and I know some people are going to start hating on him soon, so, we're getting there. But he's still really good, and he's super athletic in the ring, so it's kind of hard to hate on the guy. And then you have R-Truth, and I love R-Truth, but one thing I don't love about R-Truth is the repetitive nature of his character currently in the WWE, and like even just looking segment to segment with the 24/7 title, they keep doing the same things. Like they've done the spot where like he hops over the barricade and Carmella gets on his back, and then they run through the crowd. I want to say at least maybe 5 times in the past month, and it just gets so old. And then you have Truth making poop jokes on Raw, but then you also have him and Drake Maverick having great chemistry and great comedic timing, and it's so good to watch them when they're like actually giving creative freedom and the writing's good, and it's just something different. So that, again, comedy wrestling can be really effective and really good when it's well done, but at the same time it can be oversaturated, or it can just be insulting to your intelligence, and that's obviously not good. But it's good when it's used properly, and I think the people I named, Yano, Orange Cassidy, R-Truth, and even Taguchi, to a lesser extent, are all really, really solid in these spots. Tony Nese versus Akira Tozawa from 205 Live. And honestly, my love for 205 Live just will never die at this point. The show just feels like it's consistently getting better. And I think when I started this series, I was really making a point to get across how dead the crowds were lately. And thankfully, the past 2 or 3 weeks, the crowds have really livened up. And that was, again, on Showcase here. I think it was in Oregon this week, maybe. It was Oregon or Washington. 95% it was Oregon. And these guys had an incredible 20-minute main event. And that's 20 minutes with pretty much no commercials, which is, again, so great. These two, again, not even just these two, like the entire 205 Live roster as a whole just features some of the most underrated guys in all of wrestling, if we're being honest. I mean, you have Drew Gulak, you have Tony Nese, Akira Tozawa, Humberto Carrillo, Jack Gallagher, Brian Kendrick, Oni Lorcan, technically no Amdar, but it's kind of, I don't know. Chad Gable is technically in 205 Live, I'm pretty sure now. Not sure if he's permanent or not, but it's so refreshing to see crowds just genuinely reacting the way that they are to 205 now, and that makes me so happy as a fan because it just shows that these guys are getting the reactions that they deserve, and I really can't hate on anybody for that. Good for them. And this match again delivered in spades. Again, Tony Nese kind of felt like a transitional champion, and he did lose the championship to Gulak on Sunday at Stomping Grounds. But he's still so good in the ring. I've never really been a fan of his character per se. I thought the pairing with Buddy Murphy was good. I wasn't really a fan of them having Nese take the title from Murphy. I really thought Gulak should have gotten it, but to be honest, it makes sense. They needed a face transitional champion, and they got it. It was just Nese got his big moment. He's one of the original 205 guys. Got to keep it for a pay-per-view, and then dropped it to Gulak, and that makes sense. But this match is for the number one contendership at Extreme Rules, and that's in Philly. That's Gulak's hometown. I can't wait to see the Extreme Rules match, if it's an Extreme Rules match, for the Cruiserweight title, but that's not the match we're talking about. We are talking about Tony Nese versus Akira Tozawa, and this match was great. Like I said, there were some really good spots. You had Akira Tozawa's like cannonball apron senton thing. That thing is so good every time he hits it. Just instantly, so good. You had Tozawa followed that up with a suicide dive that looked just like a bullet hit Tony Nese. He just like slammed into him, and Nese went flying over the announce table. Looked like he died. Sold the hell out of it. You had the Dude Buster. I don't actually know what the technical term is. I just know that Trent Beretta does it. It was called the Dude Buster at one point. Nese has been using it as kind of a finisher and a signature. I really like that spot, to be honest. I feel like it's a good one. I don't know if I like it as a finisher, but I do think it's probably a little better than the running Nese. Like, I get the point of that, and the name is good, but I just like the Dude Buster, or whatever Nese wants to call it. It just looks more impactful than that, and I feel like it's a good finisher for him. You also had some weird counter out of the Tozawa's Iron Octopus hold. That the original camera angle looked like Tozawa might have broken his neck, but they showed it and he just landed on his shoulders. That looked pretty good. And then the big one was a Canadian Destroyer, just a straight up Canadian Destroyer on a random 205 live show. I remember when that would have just been a crazy, crazy thought to be like, oh, we're just going to watch a 205 live episode and a Canadian Destroyer. And oh my God, did he get Nese with this. Tozawa, I think he was originally going for a sunset flip on Nese, and then it got turned into a Canadian Destroyer, is what it looked like, but it was a Canadian Destroyer. He just spiked him on his head. Oh my God, they showed it in slow motion replay, and I was like, oh my God. So yeah, we're now in the era of Canadian Destroyers on 205 Live. Great. Can't complain about that. It's a cool move. Just don't use it every match and we'll be okay. But yeah, if you didn't watch 205 Live this week, be sure to do it. And if you're not watching 205 Live regularly, you are missing out, because weekly, week in, week out, they are delivering some of the best wrestling probably that the WWE has produced in a long, long time. And obviously takeover matches have more storytelling and sometimes they're better wrestled, but those aren't weekly. Those are bi-monthly or quarterly at this point. You go to 205 Live any week and you tune into the main event, and you are guaranteed to have just so much fun with these matches. It's just incredible. So if you're not watching it, go to the network and go watch 205 Live right now. Number 2 this week is Io Shirai versus Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship inside a steel cage from this week's NXT. And boy, oh boy, what a match. Originally, when I was watching NXT, I expected to do Angel Garza versus Joaquin Wilde for the NXT Breakout Tournament, but this kind of just shocked me. I was never really too into the Shayna-Io feud. I thought their matches were good, not spectacular, but this was definitely the best match of the feud, I think, at least from just an entertainment standpoint. They have good chemistry. And honestly, I like Shayna. I know I don't cheer for her, but I think she's been an effective champion, and she still is an effective champion. Um, the one thing I do want to say is whenever she moves up, and I have a feeling it's going to be right after SummerSlam, I'm worried. I think she's going to make an impact, and I think she's going to get a push. She'll probably even win the title, maybe from Becky. However, without a doubt in my mind, I just know they're already going to send some of the girls out there to do promos on her and just start calling her a man or just not looking like a female. And I don't want that. Like, no. It's just no. Nobody needs that. Just let Shayna be Shayna. Let her be a heel. Bring the horsewomen up as her backup. Keep them in the performance center to train because they're not very, like, good. Like, they're not good on their own. I'm sure they're fine as just, like, her backup. But if they actually want to start, planting the seeds for the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match, they need to get better. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I have a feeling she's coming up post SummerSlam, and I don't want the promos that are just going to, degrade her for not being the most, like, objectively attractive woman. That being said, this match, great stuff. It's not often that you just get a steel cage match on a random NXT show. They've done a couple of them, but this was fantastic. It was great from top to bottom. Io Shirai is a gem. I really enjoy her theme music. I wasn't a big fan at first, but I've come around to it. Yeah, and I think we'll get to that in a second. But the match itself, there were some really cool spots. You had Io Shirai doing a string of drop kicks to Shayna against the cage that just looked brutal. You had her doing the whole double knee Meteora type of thing in the corner to Shayna, similar to Andrade does on the main roster, followed by just a nasty looking German suplex from I think it was the second turnbuckle, might have been top rope, but that looked great. Then you had the run-ins happen from the Jessamine and Marina. I didn't really need that, but it's understandable. It makes sense for the story. And then you had Candice come out and, gets the big pop, gets the big baby face reaction. Nice stuff to counter it. She goes up on top of the cage and, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really expect her to jump off. And then all of a sudden she's off. And I was like, all right, sure. And Candice flew off the cage onto, I want to say it was Jessamine. Pretty sure it was Jessamine. And then, I'd seen stuff on Twitter. But I didn't expect to look this good. And Io Shirai hits just a moonsault off the top of the steel cage, and it was a thing of beauty, like perfecto onto Shayna. And honestly, if I didn't know spoilers for the show, I would have assumed she would have won from that, but she doesn't. And this is gonna be the only. I mean, I really try not to spoil matches on this in case you haven't seen them. But to talk about, just to recommend this, I feel like I have to, Shayna Baszler's still the champ. They had a really creative finish where, following the steel cage match with Dolph and Kofi from Stomping Grounds, that also had a creative finish, but I was a big fan of this one. It looked like Io was about to get out, and she starts slamming the door on Shayna's face, and she ends up, knocking out Shayna, and Shayna, falls out over her, and you can just see the look of devastation on her face, and it was just great selling from Io. And yeah, Shayna's reign of terror in the women's division continues. And then we had just I read the spoilers, but it was still unexpected. It's just like Candice looks just like such a wholesome person, and she didn't I've seen people saying that Io did nothing wrong already, and Candice is being like Johnny and getting involved where she doesn't belong. But if just looking at this from just a regular perspective, Candice really did nothing wrong. She just came to help even the odds. And then Io just kills her, and it was really effective. I'm very, very interested to see where this goes. Io Shirai as a heel should be interesting. I'm not really too accustomed to her work outside of WWE, but it's going to be an interesting time to see what's happening in NXT. So yeah, if you haven't seen NXT this week, check out the cage match. Also, be sure to watch that Angel Garza versus Joaquin Wilde match, because this tournament's already shaping up to be something special in NXT. Those guys were phenomenal. I'm glad to see Angel Garza is basically the Latino Tai Chi. Definitely just check it out. You'll really enjoy it. But if you just can watch one match, definitely watch Io Shirai versus Shayna Baszler and witness the greatness that is Io Shirai's sudden heel turn. All right, and coming in at the number 1 spot, the coveted top of the list this week, is the Cruiserweight Championship triple threat match from WWE Stomping Grounds featuring Tony Nese, the champion, Akira Tozawa, and Drew Gulak. And boy, oh boy, what a kickoff match this was. It was probably my match of the night. The only other one that would really be in contention is the New Day Big E and Xavier versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. But this was the match that makes it to the top of our list. And just from top to bottom, I don't. This might be one of the best kickoff matches they've had in ever. I struggle to think of another one. This was just phenomenal. I think it was like 15 minutes ish, and it was great for the entirety of that time period. You had Drew Gulak comes out with a new Titantron finally. The only thing I wish this man gets is new music. Please, for the love of God, his music is just, nobody reacts to it. It's so boring. I get it, he's a heel, but like, heels can have good music. Look at somebody like Tommaso Ciampa. Just give Gulak new music, for the love of God. You also had Tony Nese coming out in 205 Live inspired gear that I thought looked beautiful. It was nice and orange and purple. Looks great. And then he's got Tazawa and his normal stuff. He has cool gear, but like it wasn't as big as the new Titantron or the 205 Live gear. And then you had the match itself, and no complaints here. This is technically this is, if you want to get technical, this is the third Cruiserweight match to make this list this week. And oh my God, I really have so much praise for all these guys. Gulak's 2019 has been absolutely incredible. This guy is on fire. It's not quite the 2019 that somebody like Will Ospreay's having, but Drew Gulak has been, for those not watching 205 Live, he's been just having like an incredibly underrated year. Just standout matches against everybody, great character work, a new look. I can't say it enough. He's doing great stuff. And this match is a great showcase of that. He's got the slick back hair, he's got the dark trunks and everything. He's got the animosity that he's needed to stand out. And yeah, it's great stuff. I love Gulak. He's one of my favorites. And I'm really happy to see him getting this opportunity. And he won the goddamn title. Oh my God, I was so happy. I picked him in the predictions for our channel, and I'm ecstatic that Drew Gulak is finally, after, I guess it's 3 years now, he's finally the Cruiserweight champion, and it felt like such a long road getting here, but I'm so happy he's gotten it, even if it's a short reign, which I don't think it's going to be. It just feels so good to see him at the top of the mountain. And he has so many people he can face now. The roster in 205 Live is so stacked to the gills with baby faces that Gulak just has this, he can run through everybody. I think if I was going to predict who's going to get it, probably say Humberto. He has history with Gulak, and they can really build a special story for that one. And I hope they don't rush it like at SummerSlam. Give it some time. Let Gulak hold it till like the Rumble maybe, or even if you wanted to do it prior to that, you could go for Survivor Series. But definitely that would be something to look out for. As for the match itself, you had some really, really nice spots. There was a lot. There was this one spot where Tazawa went to like roll up Gulak, I think he was trying to roll up Gulak, and then Tony Nese comes in and suplexes Gulak over Tazawa, and it formed like just like a 3-person roll-up situation where they're all pinning each other. It looked really cool. There was one where Gulak had the Gulak on Tony Nese, and the camera's focusing on them, and Tazawa's been out of the ring for a while, and all of a sudden Akira comes just like flying out of the sky with his, like, I think they called it like a high-seated senton. I just call it the diving senton, but that always looks great, and he just killed the two of them, and it was pretty solid. Then you had Gulak had Nese on like the middle rope, and all of a sudden he just like Germans poor Akira Tozawa honestly poor both of them. He suplexes Akira Tozawa onto Tony Nese's, like, it's like the top of his like neck area, and he's just hanging there on the ropes and is defenseless. That would be an awful spot to take. And yeah, I don't. Again, there's the Dude Buster that I mentioned in the 205 Live match. Nese used it again here, and it still looks really good. There was a little bit of a botch at one point when Nese was going. It was right after he hit the. No, it wasn't after the Dude Buster. What did he do? I think he power bombed Tozawa in the corner, and then he went for a pin. Gulak was in the other corner, and he was kind of waiting, and he didn't quite make it to break up the pin, but thankfully Tazawa kicked out on time. And yeah, it was really, really nice stuff. And then quick finish, Nese went for the running Nese on Gulak, and he dodged it, got out of the way, picked him up for the torture rack neck breaker, and he pinned him with a power move. It wasn't, I was assuming it was going to be a submission victory, but no, he cleanly pinned Tony Nese with just a regular, power finisher, and it looked great. I think it's a really solid new finisher for Drew Gulak with this new persona. I really like the Gulak, don't get me wrong, but if he's going to be going in this new direction as a character, I guess it makes sense that he has a new type of finisher. So I'm a big fan of that. Don't get rid of the Gulak, bust it out whenever, but the torture rack neck breaker looked really good, really effective here, and overall I thought this match was just hands down the best match of the night for Stomping Grounds, followed up by New Day versus KO and Sammy. And with that being said, this brings us to the end of this week's episode of 5 Matches to Watch. I really hope you enjoyed this list. I know I enjoyed watching these matches, and I enjoyed talking about them too. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to Deep Six Wrestling, and also be sure to like the video. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. That'll be down in the description below. And yeah, just enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. I'll be back here next Thursday with the next edition of 5 Matches to Watch. Until then, peace.
It was hot. It was hot. Roman, you just can't take the heat. I'm just too hot. They call me Mr. Fahrenheit. Nice.